Welcome to Becoming Fearless, the personal growth podcast for you if you are ready to overcome fear and step into your greatness. Our purpose is to help you overcome your limits, have loads of fun along the way, unlocking your fullest potential in life, business, health and relationships every single day. I'm your host, Charlotte Carter, a high-performance coach and entrepreneur with over 20 years' experience. I've supported many highly driven, talented people like you who dream big and are ready to take action to overcome what's holding them back. Each week, my guests and I will be sharing hacks and habits on how to build self-belief, courage and confidence to master your mindset and navigate your emotions so that you can reach your human potential in a way that feels light, fun and easeful and helps you become fearless. Let's go. Hello and welcome to this particular Becoming Fearless episode. I just wanted to put this trigger warning in here before you listen to this episode. There are elements of this episode that do talk about suicide. So I wanted to just bring this to your attention so you can choose to turn off if that's not suitable for you, or tune in if you want to hear more about this particular episode. So take care, look after yourself, and just a heads up that this has a trigger warning. I am really delighted and excited to bring this episode to you. It's another one of my potent guest episodes. And today we're going to go on quite a journey. We're going to talk about various fears that have come up for my guest and also the whole concept of what success looks like for you and how to find your happiness and joy and how to move through various stages in your life and come out with, a place where you are comfortable in your own skin. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Emma Hine. She's going to come on and just let us know a little bit about who she is and what she does now. And then we'll take a deep dive into her story that's brought her to who she is now.
Thank you, Charlotte. I am so excited to be here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So I'm a certified business strategist now. And what I do is I help ambitious people to grow a business they love. And the reason I do that is because I grew a business that I didn't love. And I know that that is not what gives you true fulfillment in life. And ultimately, we're all here to be happy and fulfilled. So yeah, that is me.
And Emma and I met. I'm in Emma's membership. Emma does in-person events. She does days with people. She does programs, also all the shebang. And we met a while back and we've just kind of connected. We've got like the same sort of ethos about how we run the business. We've got the same sort of values on lots and lots of levels. So this conversation is going to be fairly deep. It's going to be fairly exciting. And it's going to hopefully, one of my main aims for this particular conversation for you all listening is about allowing you to see that the possibilities of change are there for each and every one of you. And the money mindset and the financial journey that you may go on is also there for each and every one of you. The core outcome of Emma's journey and what we're going to talk about is around happiness being one of the biggest goals, your identity and your version of success being one of the biggest goals, and how you tread that path that's unique to you, that lets you shine in your brilliance and all of your awesomeness without guilt, without fear, and without any judgment. So let's start on your journey and like your first business that you have now walked away from, but let's sort of set the scene for the listeners about what that business was and who you were in that business.
Okay, so my first business I launched back in 2006. At the time, I was in corporate, and as much as I enjoyed my job, I didn't feel that I wasn't, getting fulfilled in the sense of, doing what I needed to be doing. I never felt that I had the freedom that I wanted. Now, the freedom for me at the time was very much about being able to do things like go to the kids' nativity play, because my girls were much younger back in 2006. So I never felt that I had that piece in place. So that is why I launched the business, very much to try and give myself the time to do these things. The business was an e-commerce business. We sold greeting cards, gifts, party wear, that sort of thing. And it grew very quickly. I had always worked in strategy. I knew I didn't know how to grow a business because this was my first venture into business, but I knew strategy and I knew I could apply that into something of my own. So the business grew very quickly, and we very quickly went from working at home to having our first premises, our first staff member, bigger premises, more staff, more revenue. And ultimately, the business became a 7-figure business, turning over in excess of £1 million every year. So financially, the business was very, very successful. And it was enabling me to have what I call lots of things and stuff around me. So I had all the things that money can bring you. However, what I totally lacked was the one thing that I actually wanted that business to give me. And that was this freedom to do the nativity plays, to go for coffee, with a friend, or to be able to just pick and choose where I worked and when. What I actually created was what I call a monster. And the business completely took over my life. And that had a major impact on my mental health. I became, a very unhappy person. I didn't enjoy anything, if we're being completely frank. I got no enjoyment out of my business. I got no enjoyment out of life. I was going on fancy holidays. They were just working somewhere different. It wasn't a holiday. It was just moving my work from my bedroom, my office to, a hotel room, basically. So the business never gave me what I wanted. And the reason that happened, the reason I allowed that to happen for so long, was because I was afraid that if I didn't keep going, that people would think I was unsuccessful. Having been told as a child at school by a teacher that I would never make anything of myself, I was frightened, afraid, and scared that if I didn't have these things around me, I would not look successful. So I'd focused on that somebody else's version of success rather than my own. And eventually it took its toll on me. And as we said, eventually I had to effectively just walk away from that and say, enough is enough. I cannot physically do this anymore.
So I told you we were going straight in. It's a powerful story. Let's rewind for anyone listening that is setting themselves up. They've got these big financial goals. They want to make their 10K months, their 50K months, their 100K months. I've worked with a number of multimillionaires, and the journey that everyone has gone on has been very, very, very unique. And I always say, and I always maintain, that you are at the heart of everything you create. So for those people that may feel like they are in those early throes that you've described, where they have built this business, they were shooting for 10K months, they've hit it, they're now going for 20K, they're going for 50K, and they've got caught up in that financial pushing and drive, and then it's kind of taken over their identity, because that seems like it was kind of the thing that, like, as you've described, you lost yourself, you lost your happiness, you lost your purpose, and it's like, I've got to walk away from that now. What is it in that stage for anyone that's listening that you could give advice that they're like, hang on a minute, let's just look at where you are? What would you like to somebody to say to you back then, so that you didn't get to where you got to before you walked away? What do you think you would have liked to have heard?
I think the simplest, going really into simple terms, I just would have liked somebody to have said, stop and breathe. Give yourself a little bit of time to actually go back to why you started this business in the first place. Because ultimately, if I'd have done that, if I'd have allowed myself just a teeny bit of time to slow down long enough to find where I wanted to be again, I could have made changes to that business. I could have done, absolutely. There's loads of strategic stuff I could have done to make that business work differently for me. But because I didn't ever allow myself that time to stop, to think back to why I was doing it, rather than focusing, and a lot of the focus I was doing was subconscious. I hadn't specifically got in mind, a financial goal, a specific, this is how much money I want to earn. I was just focusing on keeping going, keep plodding on. So for me, it's just really go back to that why, that reason. Why did you start that business? What does success actually look like to you? And I guarantee that it probably looks quite different to what you are striving to achieve, because you get carried away with the, Instagram says this is success. This says this is success. This person's doing that. And you get carried away with that and assume that unless you are doing the same things, that you are not successful. But actually, success for you might just be getting out of bed in the morning. It might be something really, really simple. And you need to go back to that. And that's to me is what I needed somebody to do. Tell me to stop and breathe.
So there's thanks for sharing that. So if anybody's listening and thinking, this is where I am at, my nervous system is running the show. I'm kind of like, I don't know who I am when I'm not working. I'm in that kind of energy. 2 things Emma has shared there. First one, stop, breathe, give yourself some space. Second one, connect to your why. Connect to why you set this up in the first place, what it is that you want to get out of this life. Where is your passion, your purpose, your brilliance? Where are your desires? And take everything else out of it. Take everything else out of it and connect back to who you are. And then from that space, work with somebody like Emma on the strategy of how you can create the successful life that actually is yours and not somebody else. So
absolutely, I think that would be the third point. If I was going to add a third point in there, sorry, Charlotte, I'm getting excited now. If I was going to add a third point in there, it would be, don't be afraid to ask for help, because I was afraid to ask for help, because again, that might make me look like I can't do this on my own. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask for that help and support.
So let's talk about that third fear then, because it's come up in our conversations previously as well. It's kind of like feeling afraid to walk away from the business, or feeling afraid to not have all this success. Fear of success in a different way. So some people have fear of success and it shows up for them, and so they don't actually achieve the financial success or the life success or whatever success they're going for. They don't actually allow themselves to get there. Your version and your experience is that you were successful in one area, monetary, and not in the other area. So the fear of success for you, some people will never experience that kind of pattern and the strength of it and the courage it takes to walk away. Because for some people, they will be like, yeah, but you did have all these opportunities and you did have all this wealth around you. And so for some people, that fear of success, they would think that you were actually successful. So let's talk about what that fear of success took for you to be able to walk away from that financial success.
Yeah, I mean, my mental health was the thing that really took a toll during that business term. And this was a very, very long-term thing. I started to, it was 2010 when 2009, December 2009, when I first started to realize that the business was not giving me what I'd wanted in terms of me personally. So it was right at the very beginning, really, just a few years into this business growing, and it was December 2020 before I actually did something about it. So there was a huge window there where I was, mentally suffering, and I became, a shell of a person. I was drinking excessive amounts of alcohol because I needed to do something to block out the day. I wasn't eating, so weight dropped off me considerably. I wasn't going out, I wasn't socializing, I wasn't speaking to people. I was just literally locking myself away. There was a number of real dips along that journey, various points where I should have known that I needed to do something about it. Now, my mental health was that low. I don't know if you want to pop a trigger warning on here, Charlotte, but my mental health was that low that I planned my own suicide, and I started the process, if that's the right phrase to use, because I was so unhappy and I didn't know any other way out. I was frightened to step into any of the other opportunities. I never allowed or sought any help for my mental health, because that again was something that's sitting on my shoulders, was you can't do that, Emma, because they will think you are a failure. And I couldn't allow myself to do that. So I plodded on for years to find a way that I could actually get strong enough to come through it. Now, the only person that kept me going through all of that was my husband, because nobody else knew what was going on behind the scenes. Because I had, and I probably still have, but I'm not going down that route again. I have an incredible way of putting the lipstick on, smiling, and looking like my world is perfect, even when it isn't. And I think a lot of us have got that mask, haven't we? So externally, everything looked perfect. As you said, externally, it looked like I was a really successful person. I got a successful business, I got the lovely family, I got all of these things that I was able to do, but I never felt any of that. And what I craved more than anything was just to be able to go shopping at Christmas, like walk around a shop and listen to the Christmas music, to be able to say yes to go for a coffee with a friend. That's all I craved, the really simple things. But I was stopping myself from doing those things because of fear of what people thought. And interestingly, when I did get to the point where I was strong enough to say, enough is enough, this has to change, which was December 2020, I wasn't healed at that point. I wasn't better at that point. I wasn't back into who I was. At that point, I was completely broken, but knowing that I needed to do something about it. And to me, because I had allowed this to go on for so long, the only option was to say, it's got to go. It's got to go completely. And obviously that's what I did. But at that point, my fear swapped from fear of success to, fear of failure, I suppose, fear of not looking successful, to fear of ever earning money again. And it's interesting, isn't it, how something happens and that triggers you to do something completely different. So yeah, scary. It's scary. It's how people allow themselves to just keep going, even when they know it's not the right thing to do.
And I thank you so much for sharing that part of your journey. And there's a part around like the power of the mind, and I will always stand strong in mental well-being being your utmost priority in anything you do in life. Having worked in mental health for 20 years, I've seen all sorts of things. And high performance is where I work now, because it's about looking forward and looking at the strengths that you have within you at the core that make you who you are, that allow you to shine and allow you to create permission, which is what you've stepped into for yourself, bravery, courage to stand strong in who you are and what you're here to do. So let's talk about how you walked away and what was the kind of timescale before you set into this like futuristic, and Emma, the business strategist that I've met and absolutely adore. How did she come to fruition, really? How did she, evolve?
Yeah, I shut down the e-commerce business for a 3-week period to allow myself, I said I needed that stop and breathe time. That was my stop and breathe time. So after Christmas, closed it down and said, right, need to sit back and look at what we can do. Devised a new strategy, something that would enable us to, to walk away, but in a bit of a staged process to allow us some time to make sure that this was the right decision, not me just being a little bit crazy because I was so unhappy. So we came back into the business. That took us 3 months to implement. So by March 2021, I had gone from working sort of 90-ish hours a week to probably working about 10 hours a week. Yes, revenue had dropped considerably, but I cut back lots of the costs and everything else as well. So it was fine. I had no idea what it meant in terms of the business's longevity, but I just knew it was the right thing to do. Then I think that's when the real work started in terms of me delving into, and I spent probably at least a year, and I know, Charlotte, when we first met, it was when you were on the stage at Be Inspired. Was that September 2020?
September 2020,
2021.
21, September 21,
Yeah, that's it. I, at that point, was still a bit of a shell of myself in the sense that I was just beginning to spend some time really exploring who I was again, because I think that's what I needed to do. And when I say this, I say exploring who I was again. I think I was probably finding myself for the first time in my life, because I became a mum at 16. So I came straight out of school into motherhood, into corporate, into my business. I'd probably never really done the basics. Who is Emma? What does she enjoy doing? What doesn't she enjoy doing? What makes her smile? All of those simple things. So I spent probably a good year really just doing that piece of work, just really delving into who I was and what I wanted. The only thing that from the very, very beginning was very clear to me is that whatever I did, I wanted to do something that made other people see that you can run a business and still be happy. See that there is a way to run a business that gives you the life and everything that you want. So I knew I wanted to do that, but I had no idea how. And I was frightened. It was scary again. I'm sort of back out on this pedestal onto starting again. But yeah, it was a finding myself exercise, really.
And it's also you're on that pedestal starting again, but you're starting again with all of the attachments to having the wealth around you and walking away from it. So it's no surprise, in my personal opinion, that you stepped into this like, well, what if I can do it again? Or what if I can make the money? Or can I actually make the money and have the happiness? Can I allow myself to have all of those things on multiple levels? And as I always say to people, you can have it all. So let's talk about what having it all means for you now. What does success mean for you right here, right now, in either your business, or what is it that you hold on to that allows you to be that shining inspiration for people when some of them may be in, a lower vibration, some of them may be overwhelmed, some of them may not know their brilliance. I'm sure you have people come to you with all sorts of fears laden around them. What is it that makes you now own your success more and your happiness and want to get out and do the work, but also turn off from work and have all the other enjoyments that you've mentioned, like coffee with friends, time with family, holidays, all of those things?
Yeah, and I think it all just stems back to me spending a lot of time really understanding the things that make me happy and actually realizing that when I'm happy, I can help and serve people so, so much better. When I'm healthy, I can help and serve people so much better. So it's been about stripping back some of those beliefs that, it's selfish to take a bit of time to do something for yourself, for your own self-care, well-being. That's selfish. That was what I would have thought before. Whereas now, actually, that is a priority in life. I need to look after myself and keep myself healthy, fit, well, happy, and all of those things. Then I can help and serve people better. And, I think you've got to be, if I want to help people to grow a happy business, let's call it a happy business, because that's a great phrase, isn't it? Then
Yeah.
I've got to be a living example that actually that is a possibility, that can be done. So I personally have found my sweet spot. And my sweet spot for me is not about focusing on, the financial gain. It's about focusing on the impact that I can have, which naturally means, the bigger my business can become, the more people that I can help and support. So, I spend some of my time working charitably. I support a charity because that to me is me being able to give back, and that absolutely fills my cup and makes me feel happy. But I also know it's helping other people and it's having a bigger impact on more people. So for me, it's just been very much about going right back to my basics, the things that I work with my clients to do, which is, get to know. And this is difficult to do because it's hard to sometimes admit to yourself what success looks like, but actually getting to know what that looks like and then building a business model that makes sure you do all of that stuff. I love being around people. So in-person connection is always, always going to be part of my business model because I love that. If that doesn't, if that financially isn't the best way for me to earn that money, there was a quicker way to earn it. That doesn't matter because the quicker way to earn that money will not be making me happy. So it's just that simple. It really is about knowing what that success looks like and then putting everything in place that enables you to do it. So if you're about to launch something, does it make you happy? Every month end, I don't just review stats and sales and all of those things. I review me. Am I happy? Am I doing things that I enjoy? How did last month make me feel? Gratitude journaling. I never used to do anything like that. I never would have sat there and, and thought about what's made me happy today, what's made me smile today. Because if you'd asked me that a few years ago, I'd have said nothing. But that's rubbish because there's always something, even on the rubbishest of days, even on those days, there is always something that makes you smile. So just think about and focus on those things a little bit, and it makes a massive difference. The strategy piece is totally doable. There's a strategy for everybody in terms of what you want to look like, but you have to know what that is for you, not for other people, not even for your nearest and dearest. It has to be about you. And that's it, really. Quite simple.
Quite simple, and it's always a journey, isn't it? It's always a journey, one hell of a journey. I always ask my clients these three questions. How good can I feel is always the first question I ask people. How good can I feel? How easy can it be? And how much fun can I have? And I think that's kind of summarizing what you said. It's about finding your own health and well-being, because it's so important. That's crucial to who you're going to be and how you're going to help people. And then it's like, what really lights you up in a happiness place, but also what energizes you. So when we're thinking about happiness, what are the pieces that really energize you? Where are the bits like where you and I have talked about this, where you're really just so excited you could burst? If you're that kind of person, then you can create this in your business without a doubt. I've done it. Emma does it now. You can totally create that. And I know some fears that people have. They're like, I can't be this excitable and it be work, or I can't have so much fun, or I can't show this part of myself or this part of myself, or I can't talk about this part in my story. You can talk about whatever you feel comfortable talking about and whatever you want to share and truly be an inspiration, but you've got to be comfortable in yourself. 100%.
Absolutely. And when I came into this online world, I didn't want to talk about my story. I didn't want to talk about my journey because I was embarrassed by it. I think, to me, at the time, I hadn't grown a successful business. I'd grown something that was totally the opposite, totally unsuccessful. Now I share my story and I hear people telling me how inspirational that is and how much it helps them. I realised that actually that was probably done for a reason. I probably followed that path so that I could be better placed to now help and support other people because I've lived it and I've breathed it. So, we often think that people don't want to hear the stuff, that we're embarrassed that we've got something we've done or something that's, shaped our past, that's shaped our future. But it's okay. It's absolutely okay to talk about it. And you will be surprised how many people are inspired by your journey and your experiences.
For certain. And I think it's all I always say about trusting the process, trusting the journey. When you have this trust within yourself, then you get to share whatever you feel comfortable and confident to share. And it will always land with someone and it will make a huge impact in their life, way more than you'd ever realize. I think the ripple effect is so, so powerful when people stand strong in what they're here to do and what they want to share with the world. So, anything else that you would like to share with people? I'd like you to share with people a little bit about what you offer and how people can get into your world.
Yeah. A lot of what I offer is more intimate stuff because I love working closely with people. I love people. I love getting to know people. And I believe that from a strategic point of view, I can help people better if I understand them, what floats their boat, what makes them happy, and all of that jazz. So a lot of the stuff I offer is more intimate, be that through one-to-one programs, VIP days. My events are not huge. They are more intimate. I know, Charlotte, you've been involved in these now. They are kept smaller intentionally because that's what I think I enjoy and makes me happy. And I know the people that come love it for that too. So working with me is always about, it's not just about business strategy. And I think that's what makes me slightly different than a lot of other business strategists, not strategies, because what I don't do, I can do, but I prefer not to, is just tell you to do A, B, and C. And there you go, you've grown a business. What I want to do first is get to know what you want the end result to look like so we can then create something that makes it bespoke and personalised for you. So I'm a more fluffy business strategist than a lot of business strategies that are out there. So yeah, working with me is fun because I believe that we have to have fun in life. I don't think that everything needs to be boring, and also I keep it very simple because why make things complicated when we can get to a solution simply. So the best way to connect with me would be my website, which is emmahine.co.uk. or come and follow me on Instagram. I am Emma Hine.
And all of those details will be in the show notes of how to get hold of Emma. And I would like to sort of refocus a little bit just on what you've just said, just so that people, if they're feeling fearful of where they are in their business, or ashamed or guilty or embarrassed, or any of the things that you've talked about that you have experienced, and they want to have somebody else's view on where they're going in the business, I think Emma is absolutely perfectly placed, because it's this wonderful blend that I love to talk about with people, this wonderful blend of personal growth and inspiration with the strategy, so that you can own who you are, work out who you are, understand who you are, what makes you tick, and ultimately what gives you this happiness and this successful life. And then there's so many ways you can build a business, and I've experienced this on multiple levels, finding the most aligned strategy for you that lights you up, that feels like you're alive, feels like you're going to flourish and grow, and doesn't feel like it's restraining you in any way, shape or form. Emma has this wonderful blend that actually I imagine, and I haven't experienced this, that in a day you can probably put so much together and the person's like, whoa, hang on, this feels so good. And it feels fun, and it feels light, and when can we start?
Yeah, exactly that. I host a lot of my strategy days in, I don't know if you've ever seen them, they're like, they're like glass pods. And I always say that the magic happens in those pods. You come in one person, you leave another, because, what you just said there is, I don't believe you can grow a business unless you grow personally. You've got to grow alongside your business. It's simple as that. And that is often the bit that is missing for people. The business is sort of outgrown them. But there is always a way to bring that back, as long as you're prepared to, one, do the work, listen to the people that take this help and support from people, and two, to keep making sure that you are not allowing it to take over again.
Epic. Sounds so good. And Emma hosts in-person days. We will put the link in for the ones that are planned for the future, so you can take a look depending on when you're listening to the episode. I'll just keep updating that with the links. I've been to a couple. They are brilliant. Like Emma says, they are with a smaller, like less than 100 people, and that is the magic of them. So you get to know, you can talk directly to the speakers, you get to hear different people's points of view. There's some personal speakers, some business speakers, and you get to have this wonderful blend that Emma's talked about. You can tell it's from her heart, these events, and they're definitely great for various stages in your business. If you're early on, they're great, they're affordable, they're a small section. If you are somebody like me, highly sensitive, they're small enough, there's breakout rooms, you can go outside, there's all sorts of things like that. It's very, very accommodating for various levels of where you're at, so I totally recommend them. Like I say, I've been to them, I've brought the team to them, and they are so much fun. So finally, I would just like to ask you the question I ask all of my guests, which is about, what is one book that you can recommend that's been part of your either becoming fearless journey or your personal journey, that you think is a great one for people to go and take a look at?
I will always recommend the first sort of personal development book that I ever read, and it's one that I get out regularly, and that is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. For me, it installed the fact that your purpose, your why, actually matters. So that's the one that I'd always recommend.
Yeah, I love that one, and we haven't had that one yet, so I'm excited. We will put the link to that in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for sharing everything about who you are, your journey, and what's brought you to what you do now, and ultimately how you can help people, because that's what I want to get into the ears of the masses. Emma is phenomenal at what she does, so go and check out her details in the notes if you feel like she's the sort of person who would help you get to create this happy and successful life that you totally 100% deserve. So thank you for listening. Thank you so much, Emma.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. And take care, listeners. Have a good day and create some happy moment in your day today. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. I hope that you're feeling energized, fearless, and inspired to take action today to stand in your greatness. I share even more tools and resources on my I Dare to Leap email newsletter. By signing up, you not only get early access to the I Dare to Leap products and services, but you also get brand new podcast episodes delivered straight to your inbox every Monday, meaning you'll never miss your weekly dose of becoming fearless energy. Sign up now at www.idaretoleap.com/newsletter or click the link in the show notes below.